Welcome to the Bench Press and Business Podcast with me, Martin, and the guy to my right, your left, Dan. Today's guest started in the industry just over 3.5 years ago. He's qualified level 3 PT, level 3 sports conditioning coach, level 3 sports nutrition coach, qualifying in August 2017 and starting after qualifying, started working out of Cotton's Hotel Spa Gym in Knutsford. Sounds nice, that. So it'd be good to talk about that. Worked there for a year before joining Pure Gym, where he worked out of Urban Exchange for 2 years. During his time running his PT business, he also created Every Move Coaching Academy with his girlfriend Sarah Lees, which launched in April 2020. In December 2020, he then made the jump to online coaching. And if you're not already hooked on Instagram, YouTube, training and fitness, you've probably already clicked and seen his stuff. I'm buzzing to introduce Alex Dick-Cleland. How are you doing? All right.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, guys.
Yeah, mate, I nearly said drop the dick, like we was talking. It's been embedded in my brain. How are you?
Like train your head, yeah. I'm good, I'm good.
Mate, it took me ages to write that intro.
In fairness to you, like bloody
a million times, but yeah, I hope it was good enough for you anyway.
Yeah, thank you. That was good.
Yeah, I think he's bigged you up quite well there, and it sounds like there's going to be some interesting stuff to go through, no doubt, mate. So yeah, really excited for this one, mate.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So what we usually do is just pass it over to you, and then talk about where it started, how it all started, why you decided to get into it, get qualified, and then how that first job in Knutsford come about.
Yes, well, so originally, all my kind of life was leading up to doing accountancy. Like what my dad did, what my older sister did. Even my other sister became a nurse, which is what my mum did. So it was very much like my older sisters were following what my mum and dad did. And accountancy kind of was just the path I was put on. Did business management at school and uni and was fully going down. Oh, that's good timing. Fully going down that route. And it was just like, yeah, I was applying for accountancy jobs, and I was training like well and mixing it properly, and I'd kind of gone down the path of really enjoying training. And it was kind of like I went traveling then with my still girlfriend now, and it gave me time to really kind of think about what I wanted, and have probably time away from the parents to kind of be like, right, what do I want to do? So when I came back from traveling, it was like, right, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to go do. And it was just a case of that. And it was, I wanted to do something that I loved, and I wanted to have a job that I was passionate about, and I wanted to have impact on people more than helping them save some money on tax. So yeah, and then that just obviously snowballed to where I am now.
Probably handy having a family full of accountants, though, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it's not bad for a bit of advice every now and then.
Fair play, wicked. So, like you mentioned, traveling and stuff there. I think sometimes and I know you sort of lent towards it a little bit there as well. When you've got time away from those people that are influences on you and whatever, I suppose you get that bit of clarity of what it is that you want to do. Where was it you went traveling, mate? How did that come about? You just fancied it, or?
So to be fair, that was like my girlfriend Sarah kind of put the idea in my head. I was fully applying for accountancy jobs after uni, and she, in passing some conversation, was like, we haven't even been going out that long as well. Like met in final year at uni, and she was like, really want to go traveling? And then I was like, yeah, like let's do it. And it just really helped me to take a big step back and think about what I wanted.
Where did you venture to?
So started in like Thailand, did the classic like Asia kind of route, Australia, New Zealand, and then a bit around America. So we were away for like 5 months. So it was a good fun half a year.
Say that well, it does one or two things with a relationship, doesn't it? If you met quite early, it's either going to go
make or break.
We're meant to be forever, or it's just going to go see you later.
Yeah.
So when you was getting around and traveling, when did it really twig that fitness is what I want to go into? This is what I want to make my profession.
So I suppose, to be fair, it was even before I went. Like I can even remember like the memory in my head of me texting my best mate telling him that like I was applying for accountancy jobs and my plan to qualify with a like big firm and then be able to kind of move abroad. And he was like, "Oh, that's the dream, like smash like." And then I remember texting him back saying, "To be honest, it's not the dream though. The dream would be to work in the fitness industry." And it was almost like a little switch. And then I went traveling, and I like very like a couple of weeks in, I went and bought like just a notepad from a shop. And I just, every long journey we had on trains, buses, whatever, like I just sat there and just wrote anything that was in my head of goals, like pros and cons of doing accountancy, doing something in the fitness industry, and just literally mapping out a bit of like mainly a plan to probably go home and show the mum and dad.
Convince
Do you know
the parents.
Yeah. Do you know what's mad there, right? Is that's exactly something that he'd do. Like as soon as you said notepad, his eyes lit up, and he started making notes about what you're going to do and how you're going to plan it. It's kind of like this, exactly the same as our Dan.
To be fair, mate, I don't think I'd tell my old man. I think I'd just message him and then.
So when you did get back home and it was that time to tell him, how did you tell him? What was that like?
That was hard, like, yeah. Then and they will even still say to this day, like when I sat them down, they were just like, "No, what you do?" Like I can remember them saying, "Give it a year, see what happens." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll see what happens." So like they were like, I'd be lying if I said they weren't supportive. Like I'm grateful for they were still like, "Okay, well, look, this is what he wants to do," but they definitely were unsure for this. Yeah, like they wanted me to go down the accountancy route. I think for like secure. Well, it wasn't. For me, that was. It wasn't even like doing the safe choice. It was like what I wanted to do. Yeah.
The mad thing is like, well, me and Dan are both parents now. Like mine's 9, and all you think about is doing the right thing for them. But never once, and I know she's only 9. Do I go? What do you want to do? Like I'm just like, do this. Should you do that? Do you want to do that? So it's always comes from the right place. But I think you just want them to be safe, comfortable, and do what we all think is the right thing because we've done it and it works. So then when you got qualified and then you moved and you applied for the job at Knutsford, because it was like a spa, wasn't it? Like a health spa.
Yeah, it was literally like a hotel gym, like really, really small. And it literally came about because Ian, my girlfriend's dad, was with the PT there, and he in passing conversation had said to Ian, "Oh, we could do," we're like, "Oh, we need new PTs here." And he was like, "Look, message them." So I sent in like my CV, and that's how that kind of happened. But yeah, it was a really, really small place. But like how good it was for my like confidence and learning was amazing. Especially like my first class in front of 5 people, whereas like at Urban it was in front of like 50. So it was a good like level up.
I suppose you've got that bit of freedom to hone your craft and learn it a little bit more, and there's a little bit less pressure on you there as well.
And the thing is as well, it was a lot of older demographic, but they were ruthless. Like the first few
I think
classes,
they're worse, mate. I genuinely think they're worse.
Like, you need to sort your stuff out. I'm like, oh god.
I think we all started somewhere very similar because I started at like a sports complex, like, and it was that's what it was like. All the older people was like they'd critique you straight away. So even if you went in and said I'm brand new, like I think I've said this on the Million podcast, but the first class I ever taught was a spin class, and I'd only just recently qualified my spin qualification, and I went in and I acted like I'd been doing it for years, and then straight after I asked for feedback, and about 30 of them come over to me, and it was all like 45 to 50 years old, and they come over and just went, "You need to go and watch this woman on this day because she's like how you need to be, mate." Absolutely, just tore me to pieces. But it was all like learning and development.
Yeah.
How different was the Knutsford spa compared to when you went over to Pure Gym and that kind of like
there wasn't much comparison really. Like it was just a whole new game. Like I was there with 4 other PTs, and in all honesty, I was probably the only one that was kind of showing a bit of full-time interest. And then obviously went to Urban, and I'm then competing against 25 other guys who are smashing, like loads of them are smashing it. And I'm now all of a sudden like that little fish in a big pond.
Yeah. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? I think you almost walk in then as well, especially if you've been a big fish somewhere else. You're like, I'll fly at this, and then all of a sudden its eyes are open and fuck, where do I start? Type thing. Do you think there's?
I was like, that first day I was terrified. I walked in and I was like, shit, like, what are you doing? Like, it was a proper
staff room as well, isn't
yeah.
it?
Takes a while to get in there, and then once you're in there, you're like, oh, do I go in there?
Like easing your way in. Do you think
Yeah.
there's much? Like, I know accountancy is a very, very, very different thing. I suppose two questions really. Do you ever think and sit and wonder what life would be like if you would have done that? And do you think there's much that you've brought from, I suppose, your time at uni and the surroundings of being with accountants, etc., into the businesses that you're running now?
Yeah, so well, quite often I'll sometimes sit there and be like, shit, imagine if I'd have actually gone down that route. Like, well, it takes like 3 and a bit years to qualify. So I would only just be now qualifying.
Oh wow.
So when I sit there and think like that, and I'm like, what? Then I've done PT wise in the same time.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
But then, yeah, it's also really helped from a business point of view, especially financially, like being just organized, like the planning, that side of it is really, really helped. And even then coming out of uni, I worked before we went traveling, that we had it's like 10, 11 months where then I worked for like a local accountancy firm as well then. So that was really good for like a lot of learning of just how that side of the business works.
Yeah, I think like budgeting, financial planning, etc.
Yeah.
That's not really something that you ever get shown how to do, is it, from a PT qual? So that head start you've got there was no doubt massive. How have you found like building that side of it? Did that come quite natural to you then, would you say?
Yeah, that wasn't too, like, I've always, even from the get-go, I was always quite heavy with like doing spreadsheets, I think, because of that.
Fucking love a spreadsheet, me. I don't know if you've ever noticed or if anyone's ever mentioned it, like, but
but yeah, like, so that side of it has always been there. So that was never really something I had to kind of learn about, which has definitely helped.
Yeah, amazing, mate. Wicked stuff. So I suppose then just those two differences with the spa gym at Knutsford and then moving into Pure Gym, you said that there were some big lessons in there. For the guys that are tuning in, what would you say the biggest differences were, or the main things that jump out at you and your biggest lessons from that switch?
The first thing that springs to mind is lead generation. Like I didn't even know what it was before I joined Urban, because I didn't have to do it. Like I was on a front desk where it's like everybody knew everybody. It wasn't hard to, like, because it was such a small place with like a family environment, it was so easy to just build relationships with people, but naturally. And what I was also, while I was like working as a PT there, I was the like sales guy. So I was doing new memberships for people. So a new member would, like, I'd sign up a new member and they'd be like, I need a PT. I'd be like, oh, well, I know a guy. So like that was easy. Whereas then when I joined Urban, it was like, how the flipping hell do I get clients? And I spent I didn't get one for 5 weeks because I had no idea what I was doing, of how to actually go and approach people and go get a client on the gym floor. Just hadn't done it.
Massive.
It's a bit of a jungle, that place as well, isn't it? Like, it's especially, it can overwhelm. It can, like, well, these PTs gone in there that have had 5 years experience, and then they go in there when the gym's mad busy. They stand there and it just swallows them up a little bit, doesn't it? So like, just having that and coming from there to go into there, you've had the reception desk pulled away from you, you've had the sales desk pulled away from you, and you just stood by a pod door like, hello.
Yeah.
But I remember like when it was like, I hadn't started at Urban yet, but I used to train there before anyway. But like, I knew I was starting and I hadn't started yet. And I remember walking into the cardio room once on like a Tuesday evening, and there's just limbs everywhere. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you are out of your depth here, because I was just like, there's just too many people. What am I going to do?
How was that, getting that first client? How was that?
That was it. Yeah, it was just an amazing feeling. And then it's just that snowball effect, isn't it? Because then once it was 1, it was then 2, and then it was 3, and then it was 4.
And then you fucked off and did your own thing.
Pretty much.
Fair enough, mate. So probably worth talking us through that. And obviously, I know you were there for quite a period of time, and no doubt lessons or things that you've picked up. So even then, what would you say your biggest takeaways were from the commercial gym, and then across those two areas that you've then that's then given you the impetus to go and get cracking with your own thing?
Probably, yeah, confidence with people, and knowing, just because you just have like a million and one different people on your doorstep. So it's like the different people that you have to deal with and know how to adapt certain things, and just like confidence of teaching classes in front of 50 odd people and being on the gym floor in front of like however many people at one given time, and just having to constantly then sell to those people. It's just it's yeah, like that confidence. It's hilarious when I always kind of say to people, when I first started and I was charging the less money I was less confident charging that than when I was at the end charging like way more. But
Yeah,
because
it's
you're
mad,
like,
isn't it?
that's the price.
Yeah, and you know what you can deliver, I suppose. Then as well, you've got that confidence that you can get results, and you know you're worth your value, which I think is a massive. It's funny, we were talking about this earlier in the week actually with a few of the guys that we're working with at the minute, and that's a huge thing for them, is like, how do I charge? How do I even sit and say, yeah, I'm worth this amount of money? Like, where do I begin with that? But as you say there, the more confidence you get, the more experience you get. In the end, you're just like, well, there it is. And if that one's not right for you, here's another option. But
Yeah,
let's go from there. So no, that's wicked, mate. Some good stuff. So just talk us through how, I suppose, you built in your mind the next step, how that came about, what triggered that, and how you worked towards it, mate.
so I suppose like I probably through the social media side of things, like I was trying to grow social media even like from the day one, and it wasn't really getting anywhere, but I just stayed consistent with it, and just like kept showing up every day. And then I remember it was when I can't even, it must have been the start of 2019, and I kind of had took a step back, and I was like, right, why do you follow other coaches? I was like, what value do they bring that you then click that follow button? And it was more of like, right, okay, well, I learned something from them. I learned how to program, I learned exercises, I learned different things like that. So I was like, I needed to start showing people my knowledge that side. So once I started doing a lot more like video formats, that's when then my social media started to grow. And then that just really helped the rest of the business, because it was just helping obviously inquiries, and then more people know me on social media. And it was just all then like a massive snowball effect. And it was while my PT was really building, it was at the same time that my Instagram was really growing up. So that was a big contributor.
Just like having a bit more direction, would you say? You sort of knew where you were going with your content, and that gave you a bit more clarity of what
and
to
like
put out.
instead of just posting to post, it was like there was more of a purpose to it.
Yeah.
And trying to like stick to a theme of certain things across each day. Like I wasn't strict with it, but it was just like having some sort of routine for me to follow.
Yeah.
Hello, mate. Who's that little dog?
Just jumping around everywhere.
It's all right, mate. So yeah, with like socials, I think is probably going to be a massive one, because you've got a couple of followers. I think you've got a few that are dotting about. I know you've got a few anyway. So when you say video format, what was the switch there? Was it more videos, as in like workouts you were posting, or what was that switch, mate?
So initially it was workouts, just literally just it was my own training. It was just taking videos of like my own training on like a swipe format.
That's going to go fucking viral, by the way. I hope you know that. Just because this is audio as well, just for those listening, the dog is in the background in loving life in the garden. We'll leave it at that. The rest you can use your imagination for.
We just leaped off the sofa then. Bloody hell. Yeah, and then it was from Cottons, because of a lot of older demographic, I fully just was like really dived into mobility, and because every person was coming to me with knee problems, hip problems, back problems, shoulder problems. So I was like, if I don't learn how to help these people, then I'm not going to be able to do anything. so that definitely helped when it was almost like my USP, I suppose, because then once I started doing more of that mobility side of things on Instagram, that's when things really started to blow up. And that was always as well helping the PT, because I was then getting some people who had issues, but I was able to work with those issues instead of kind of being like, what do I do?
Yeah. No, wicked, mate. That's good stuff, and some good tips there as well, to be fair, because you've got an experienced or gained experience solving the problems that the guys that are coming to you asking about, which I think is quite a big thing there. Whereas most might sit there and think, well, maybe that's not who I want to work with, or like we go through it again with some of the other guys. Like I think when you're looking at target market, you tend to automatically go with who it is that you want to work with, like, and it's natural to do that. But I think there's another element and a side to that a lot of people miss, is actually what is the area like, who are the people that are coming to the club, and can I create a service that matches them, rather than me just automatically go in, I need to go and find XYZ person in this gym. But again, in a commercial facility, you've got that many thousands of members in there. I suppose you can find those guys if you go and look for them, right?
Yeah, like, well, especially urban, like it's the footfall of members is ridiculous.
Decent sized club in it, that one.
Yeah, like I always kind of, when I was struggling as well initially, I remember saying to Lance, like, if I can't do well here, then I won't do well anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's too much opportunity not to.
No pressure for anyone listening that's just going there. No, that's wicked, mate. So yeah, just to, go on.
Now you go.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that sort of next step really into your own the Every Move Coaching Academy that we mentioned a little bit earlier on. Like, what was the concept behind that? How did that come about? And then what were those steps to go and get the ball rolling?
So, well, yeah, well, it was just as I was growing PT, because I did a little bit of online at the very early stages, and then when I was struggling a little bit, I kind of knocked it on the head, and I just went, right, let's focus on PT, and just kind of put all my mind into there. And then as then my PT was in a good place, I was like, okay, right, let's start now trying to build that online side up again. And was doing bits and bobs, but I hadn't had a big impact for like an online coaching point of view. Then when that first lockdown hit, it was like, okay, right, we're not even in the gyms anymore. What are we going to do? And it kind of came at the right time that Sarah had qualified like a few months before that. We'd always planned to do something together and kind of join up and start coaching together. But I think lockdown just came at the right time to be like, well, let's just do it now. And then that's how the academy was kind of made. And it was just like, right, okay, let's just go absolutely hammer at this. And I still don't know if COVID wouldn't have happened, if I would be sat here right now being like, with us both being full online, like because it gave time that I just never had before. And I think that's why my online was never growing as much as I wanted it to.
What do you think about coaches that tend to come in and their first thought is, right, I'm going to be an online coach, versus I'm going to get experience with face-to-face?
So that's actually when I first started, that's what I was like. I was like, oh, I'll do online, I'll go down that route. And then it was just like, hang on a minute, how am I going to even get any clients? And the learning experience you get from the gym floor is like nothing else. Like, unless you have the right people around you helping you in that aspect, then it's just, as I said before, with the demographics of people that you see on the gym floor on a daily basis, your learning is just through the roof compared to when you're dealing with someone or like over a screen.
That people side is massive, isn't it? I think as well, because you've got to almost adapt to people's personalities and how they bring information in and whatever else. And I suppose, as you're saying there, on a gym floor, there's that many different types of personalities, and you're going to get people that are in your face one minute and then they're your best mate the next, and you've got to understand how to react to that, I suppose. So that's massive, mate. And would you say then that made that move a lot easier going online?
Yeah, definitely. Because it, like, touching on what you said then as well, is it makes you realize who you don't really want to work with.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps be like, be able to see red lights before they kind of identify themselves. Yeah.
It's crazy because any well, me included, like any new PT that starts, just think straight away, I'll work with every and anybody. And if they kind of feel a little bit guilty for saying, I don't want to work with that person or them type of people, it kind of makes them feel guilty because I'm a coach, I should be able to coach everybody. But then I think, just like you said, when you find what you're good at and who you're good at coaching and the relationships that you can build off the back of that, not only the service that you build, it then creates something that people want rather than you chasing for something that you need, really. And it usually falls down to needing money in order to survive a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is you probably can't do that until you're in a certain position. I remember taking on everyone, and you're going to take the headaches on because at the end of the day you need to put food on the table. But I was that there is when I've told clients, like, get lost, mate, I don't need you. And that is,
you're nicer than I am, mate.
But that's probably that is one of the best. As bad as it sounds, it's a good feeling when you know, well, actually, I don't actually need you. Like, I'd rather give my time to someone who is dedicated and is going to show me that they are going to get results from me, because they're showing me like an actual dedication that you're not. Your late sessions, you're doing this, you're doing that, like, you're just not ready.
Just not ready, are they? Yeah. 100%. No, that's weak. How do you find working with your other half, mate?
It's actually really good. As you said before, that whole traveling, going traveling together is a bit of a make or break. It would definitely, we do really get on. So even obviously in lockdown, you see each other all the time anyway. But then from a business point of view, it's also really good. Like, we bounce a lot off each other. There's lots of things that Sarah does that I've never thought of, and she's brilliant that side. And like, she's on the nutrition aspect and food, she's absolutely wicked as well. So she definitely, like, with us both kind of coming together, we definitely can cover more like areas of things. Like, I'm passionate about like mobility and movement and like performance and that kind of quality. And then when you've got Sarah's knowledge and that side of it as well, it does play hand in hand.
Yeah. It's almost like you planned it, mate.
Yeah.
It's funny how things work out, isn't it? To be fair, what was she doing? Was she doing accountancy as well?
No, so well, we just met at uni, and then Sarah was working for Barclays, so was just in banking, and then quit that like a year and a half ago. No, more than that.
Hope she's not listening in the background there, mate.
Maybe. Yeah.
Amazing. No, that's good. To be fair, I think if we open a Swiss bank account, we could probably get away with a fair bit with you pair on our side. What do you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
No, fair play. Cool stuff, mate. So, all going well, enjoying it, working with plenty of people. How's it all going? How you found it? How have you found it through the last few lockdowns?
It's really good. And I think after the first lockdown, obviously, then when gyms reopened, I went back to the gym. And I was still kind of like, no, I want to do more, like, keep doing PT, but I just wanted to do less hours. Even before the first lockdown, I think I was only doing morning PT. And I was just trying to like be quite compact with when I was doing my sessions, and only really working with, I didn't even have that many people, especially towards the end. And it was just, I was always, after the first lockdown, especially when we came out of that, I was always trying to get more online clients. Like, in all honesty, if people were asking for PT, I was telling them my prices were just like, it was like going to be like £65 a session, and I wanted them to train 4 times a week. And if they don't, and so it was like a win-win, because if they say no, fine, but if they say yes, I'd be like, sick. So no one said yes, but I was just kind of trying to whittle things away a little bit, and then
filter that out so that you could move fully onto
and then that just kind of kept filtering away, and then kind of came to the decision when then the second lockdown hit. I think that, because obviously the first lockdown, like, I had like a handful of clients online, and then that was more of like the building lockdown. Then the next one was a real opportunity for me to see what my life would be like just online. And again, it grew in that, like, what was it, that month lockdown more than it did the previous month, because I was still PTing, and it wasn't a distraction as such, but it was like, it was taking time away from where I could have been putting towards online. So that it was literally when the week we were out to the gym, I went and let like Johnny know, like, I'm gone, mate. And yeah.
So mate, that it's good that, because like even your first thought when you're coming into the industry was like, I want to dabble into online training, and now you've got the product that's working for you and stuff. What does the future hold?
Just keep growing that. We, like, the goal with the academy is really for it to be a big household name, and just over the next few years really keep growing things and just have as many impact on people as we possibly can. And yeah, just grow it to a place that it's just one of the, like, everybody knows the EMA basically.
Yeah. What I was going to say, you used to do the retreats as well, didn't you? I know we can't do them now, but do you still want to go into that, do that, or is that something?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we've Andrew, the guy I do it with, we've had to pull the plug on our April one again, but we managed to do last October, so that's now switching to this October again. From
What are they, mate?
April. It's just a week of fitness.
Okay.
So just like a fitness retreat. So we've done them in Rhodes, and it's just like 4 or 5 days of good food, fitness, and sun. But it's
I'm not
really
gonna
good
lie,
fun.
that's probably the best excuse you could ever come up with for a lad's holiday. Just so how you've got away with that, I'll never know.
It is like yeah, that is so cool though, when you're on the beach, like, gobbing off at people, telling them to do push-ups and stuff, and you're just like, how am I, this is technically my job right now. So yeah, that as well, like, Andrew and I really want to again grow that to a really good position, and be in a place where people can kind of just choose retreats across the year, and again, yeah, grow that, because that'll be something that's good fun, but also it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
That's a class idea. I really, really like that, actually. And it's, as you say, when you get to do stuff like that day to day and people call it a job, it's definitely not, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I think you mentioned earlier, socials has been quite a big thing for yourself. I know you've got some decent content that you ping out on YouTube, etc. as well. How have you found using those two platforms? Is there any major differences for those listening that might be umming and ahhing about which to go down or whether to do both?
It's hard. Like, I'd say YouTube's just a beast. It's like the time and dedication you have to put into YouTube for such a little gain is massive. Like, what you then have to put on Instagram compared to what on YouTube, it's a lot more time and effort. But you can see on YouTube, like, I'm still nowhere near there on YouTube. Like, I've still got a long way to go on YouTube. And in reality, like what I just said with my podcast, but like, I haven't made a YouTube video in the last few weeks, because it just, as things were growing really well online, it just, everything kind of got put to a back step. And as I said, the time it takes to do videos on YouTube, it's difficult sometimes to fit that in. Like,
that's audience dependent as well, right? I'd imagine. Yeah,
exactly. And at the moment, I think as well, from going online, I'm very much like trying to have a nice, like, kind of work-life balance and enjoy myself when I want to. And
Joe Wicks is nailing everything on YouTube anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just say, just
have you seen what he's doing now? I don't know if you would have seen Hey Dougie. Have you heard of Hey Dougie? It's like a kids program.
No.
Olivia, our little girl, she absolutely buzzes off it. But he's linked in with Hey Dougie now, which I think is an unreal idea. So they do like fitness. Oh mate, I'm going off on a right tangent. But Hey Dougie basically is a cartoon. It's not very long, and they get badges each episode. So it might be like your colours badge or whatever. And he's linked in with them now. So they're doing episodes featuring Joe Wicks to gain fitness badges for the little kids. It's such a good idea.
Yeah, he is smashing it outside, isn't he?
I know, he's so selfish. No, I can't fault him. Like, it's funny because I think we might have had this conversation before on another episode, but I think a lot of people drill him, don't they, for, you know, calorie deficit, XYZ, and him not necessarily preaching that initially and whatever. But you can't fault his business mind or the way he's gone and grown that at all. Do you know
and
what
the
I mean?
way he's marketed himself and everything, like, fair play.
Yeah, that Essex accent and that long flowing hair does all right as well. I'd be well fucked, mate, with a black country accent and no hair, wouldn't I?
Mate, a Manc accent and an afro hair. That's even
Mad. No, fair play. It's good stuff, mate. So I think, as you say, yeah, YouTube I think is a huge animal in itself to try and conquer, and the way it's used in many different genres, more so than ours, I think is mad. But I suppose you've got to deal with what's killing you first, and if social's giving you the best return, then go down that route, right?
And it can have so much return down the line. Like you see it what people are doing with YouTube. It's like it's one of them where, and that's why I kick myself sometimes. I'm like, just stop making excuses and just get them videos done. Like, to be fair, I was on a bit of a roll, and then, well, the puppy that you saw jump out, we got him about 5 weeks ago, and that's taken up a lot of time. So I'm using that as an excuse at the moment. But like, I think, yeah, like it's whatever works well for you. And I think that's because Instagram has been my biggest kind of market base, and that's where I get really all my clients, that I'm like, well, that's not going to stop anytime soon. Like, I think if I was getting all my clients off YouTube, then I'd be making more YouTube videos. And the same like with podcasts. Like if I was getting people off there, then I'd be directing things there. It's just, I suppose, just being good with what I want to spend my time on.
Yeah, 100%, mate. No, that's great. So yeah, some really good takeaways there. I suppose the biggest and final question really as the episode, I suppose, is for anyone that is trying to make that transition from gym floor to online, or is even trying to get into the industry and kickstart their PT careers. What would your pearls of wisdom be for those guys?
So I'd say first of, like, from people going from PT to online, I think you've got to probably dedicate more time to online than it doesn't just happen. Like you have to kind of,
I think a lot of people think that though, don't they?
Yeah.
Like you jump online and it just falls in your lap, but it's definitely.
But that's what I think that's where I was kind of at. I just thought, right, okay, we'll start doing online and trying to push that. And I already had the following there, but I just obviously wasn't marketing myself properly. And then with COVID and lockdown, it was like, right, okay, well, now I have to. And the only thing then I was talking about was online clients, and then that's when that grew. So you have to have that dedication there. I think when it goes to social media, like if that's going to be where you're going to get a lot of your client base from, like you have to offer value. You have to build that community with value, but then you have to sell from it. And I think that's where I was probably my own worst enemy at times, where I was just offering value and value and value and value, but in reality I should have been selling at the same time. I was just so in this kind of spiral of just trying to offer like videos and value and content, but I should have been trying to ask those people for if they wanted in on the business as well. So like that transition, I think it's making sure that you actually have a bit of a plan with where you want to go with your online, and having that kind of base of followers definitely does help. And then for kind of people that are wanting to make that step into the industry, I think the hardest thing is making that jump, but it's so rewarding once you do it. And as we said before, you do kind of work with everyone to build that understanding, but you've got to go through that. Like you're not just going to all of a sudden be in a good place, and you have to go through the crap, and you have to go through probably cleaning treadmills and doing all that, and you have to build your confidence, the way you do things, your services, the like if I think of where my systems were when I first started, like it's I'm like, that is a disgraceful. How were you giving that to people?
What were they?
Just like it's just shock, like just it's just awful that you're just like, just thinking about it now in my head, I'm like, oh, how were people paying for that?
You know what's mad though, mate? We all do that, and we've all started there and gone through that. But what I think as well is how quick it happens.
Yeah.
You can think back like it was yesterday, but like the amount of time from point one when you pick up your first client, you've not got many systems in place, all the way to where you are now, and the systems that you've got in place, the support that it gives, the results that you get off the back of it, like the miles and miles apart. But it feels like you said, you've been in the industry for 3.5 years. It'll feel like you've been there doing it 10 years, but it'll feel like it's gone so fast. It just goes quick. And then the connections you build with people, and how many you kind of know everybody in the industry within a year and a half.
Yeah. It is nuts.
It's funny because this sounds weird. I was going to say that. I was thinking about one of my old clients this morning, which sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? But it wasn't that. So I was literally thinking this morning, I can't believe I was happy to bring this lady in. She worked in a school. She was like not head teacher, but one of the senior management teams anyway. And I used to train her, but literally we used to do a little bit of stuff on a box, and then most of it was like machine based stuff. But I remember her saying to me when we were on the gym floor, I don't want you to encourage me, I just want you to be there. And I felt so awkward doing it. Like, he was literally stood there silent while she was exercising. But how I even thought that was good PT for me to take around all these machines and just stand there like a knobhead, I don't know. But you've got to go through that, haven't you? I think you have to go through that and learn from those sorts of experiences. And if she's listening, I really genuinely apologize, because I know not that it's going to make much difference now, but hey, but no, wicked, mate. Some really good stuff there, and some massive value for the guys that are tuning in to take away, no doubt. We do wrap up with some fun based questions.
Before we do, just one more before we get
go.
Your parents now, what are they like now? Now they've seen how your businesses grew and
they're just mega proud. Like, even my dad said to me sometimes, like, could you imagine if you did an accountancy? It's like, yeah, you knobhead, that's what you wanted to do.
I bet he's been trying to get in on it, really, and he's got his level 3 in the background.
But the funniest thing was, yeah, exactly. They just, as we said before, they just want the best. And it was, I remember. It was when I got the job at Urban. I got that, even though I hadn't really done, like, as I said, I was doing stuff on social media, but it wasn't really getting attention from clients. But that was actually how then I was kind of found from Kelly at Urban. Like, she found my Instagram and approached me through that. So then when I told my dad that that's how I was found, he was like, okay, so maybe all of the stuff he does do on social media is worth it. And that was definitely a trigger point for them. And that was a year in, after they said, give it a year. That was a trigger point definitely for them, when they were like, oh no, okay. But yeah, they're completely on board now. And even when I tell them of a new idea, they're like, yeah, fine, great.
My old man's still fuming I didn't go in the forces. That's what I mean, mate. That's why I just text him and not bother if I had to break any bad news to him. But no, wicked, mate. Do you want to go with the first one, Mark?
Yeah, so you're hosting a dinner party, and you can invite 3 guests. They can be alive or dead. It's just from history. 3 of your favourite people you don't want to spend time with. Who's it going to be and why?
Matt Fraser, because I find so much bloody inspiration off him on a CrossFit basis. And he's just a freak of nature. Probably Gary V, from like a business perspective. And then probably like Sir Alex Ferguson, just because just the greatest of all time. So I just like to sit there and just hear some stories about him in the dressing room.
Mate, in terms of man management, he's probably the best there is.
Well, that is well, yeah, I suppose.
Tell me some stories about, like, when someone threw a pizza at your head and that, like, things.
Man, that's a 3.5. That, to be fair, there'd definitely be some decent conversations there. So you've got your guests. You've got to feed them now, mate. So starters, mains, and desserts. What would you choose? What would you feed them? You don't have to cook it, but if you can cook, then great. What would you choose and why?
Is my favorite meals, or
yes,
whatever you want to serve, mate? If you want to be a selfish knobhead and just serve what you like, then crack on, mate. But no, I'm joking. Serve what you want.
So start. I don't know. First thing that springs to mind is like calamari or something.
A lot of people go with that, don't they? To be fair, like calamari or.
It's just the first thing that springs to my mind. I was thinking, like, what starters are there? What am I seeing? Probably for a main, a steak and chips.
Shout.
And then For a pudding, probably sticky toffee pudding.
Nice. Are you a pudding
That's
guy?
a shout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
We've had a
Yeah.
few. We've had a few people on that just don't have puddings, mate. They're literally
Mate, look,
just.
some people have had
Yeah.
a second starter or or a main. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
got
with
time
you,
for that.
mate. To be
It's something
fair,
sweet chocolatey stick, something horrible with loads of custard on it. Me,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, lot, but generally, I'll have either a starter and a main or a main and a dessert.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, to be fair.
Do you lean towards a dessert then? I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually a main dessert if I'm going to have two.
So, yeah,
Mad
100%. Yeah.
My other half doesn't eat dessert, so we end up having starters, mate. You can tell you can tell how that goes down in our house, can't you?
Last question. It's hard, this one. We might have to change this one, mate, because some people that we have on, they never know what an album is, do they? So if you're stranded on a desert island and you can only take one musical album or playlist with you, which would it be?
Marshall Mathers by Eminem.
All right, cool.
Shout.
Let's see. That was easy. Do you know how many people we get, mate?
Oh, mate.
And they just sit
What's
there.
an album?
Yeah, he's like, what's an album? And then you start talking about VHS videotapes, and they look completely lost, mate. It's a nightmare.
Why the album?
Probably just the one I've listened to most training. Like it's weirdly when I listen to Eminem when I'm happy, when I'm pissed off, when I need to motivate myself, when I need to get work done.
Or when you're stuck on a desert island.
Or when I'm stuck on a desert island and I'm just thinking, may as well just listen to this for the rest of my life.
To be fair, you know what though? I was just thinking then, if it's playlist, they'd probably have to have a phone, wouldn't they? And if they've got a phone, then they could ring someone to get them off the desert island. So
It's
the
an
plan's
iPod.
failing.
iPod, that's a shout. Yeah.
iPod, there you go. Yeah.
Most people don't have iPods these days.
Not
Remember the little
anymore.
one? Do you remember the little one? The little square
you'll
one that
give
you
him
used to
one.
Yeah, we'll give them one. We'll throw them on the iPod. There you
Fucking
go.
hell,
Here's your
mate.
iPod with your playlist.
We're going to end up on a kidnap charge by the end of the episode. We'll be well away. Nightmare. No, wicked. No, really good, mate. Again, thanks for jumping in. It's been great to have you on. Lots to take away, no doubt, for those that are listening, and it's just been enjoyable to catch up. We'll definitely have to have you on again at some point in future. So thanks again, mate. For all those that are listening, if you click onto the subscribe button, that'll give you a notification every time we have an episode come out, and you'll get an update each and every time there for you to tune in and listen. But thanks for tuning in, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you all next time. Have a good one.